Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Monday here on Orange Bloods Live. So pumped to have you guys with us here. And we're pumped because it's a big show, dude. Like, it's the off season, but Cody, just a ton to get to, man. You were saying that I don't even know where to start. We have the stuff. I have some updates today from the closed spring practice. Some news that we just got confirmed on Ryan Wingo as we kind of got here onto the show. Some updates with Javian Osborne. Yeah.
Too much, right? It's like we like a couple hours ago we're talking after we get done with the other show. We're like, what are we going to talk about tonight? And then within the last 4 hours, it's just like bing, bang, bomb, boom, let's go. Lot to talk about. Probably start with the Texas news, which is practice news that just came out, which is Ryan Wingo, huh? He's probably the biggest name that people want to hear about.
Yeah, so Wingo looks like what we've heard from Wingo and from people close to that guy is that so it's a slight hamstring. I'm not sure if it occurred today. I did catch up with two people today about practice that nobody mentioned that to me is happening today, and they actually talked something about some wide receivers. So I don't know if that was something that happened on Saturday, if it was something that might have happened today early on in practice, but they say it's a slight hamstring. They're going to put him on ice for the rest of spring ball over it. But we were assured that he's going to be fine for fall, and they're just being extra cautious. They're being extra cautious with a lot of these guys. So, yeah, so just that's the deal with Ryan Wingo. We can discuss sort of what it means. Also, I see Alan Makeda. Mitch, is the women's basketball game on right now? Is that something else we're going to need to monitor? I think it might have started at 6.
The women's basketball game starts, yes, right now against TCU. So we're going to be fighting against that. We'll give some scoring updates though. I didn't realize it was right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Texas TCU tonight, and then Connecticut USC.
Cody, can you talk about what you think the Ryan Wingo news means, so I can get one of my TVs set on the Texas game, and I can keep people updated with that?
Of course.
Okay.
All right. So my first thoughts when I hear Ryan Wingo's banged up is, well, DeAndre Moore's already banged up, and we heard some stuff over the weekend. They had a practice this weekend. Obviously, they had a lot of visitors come in. They had a couple visitors today on campus. And there was some murmurs about different players playing in the slot, like Michael Terry. Obviously, Dylan McCutcheon last week was reported from Alex Dunlap. His first day of practice was Dylan McCutcheon, then a bunch of walk-ons in the slot with DeAndre Moore out. Now we get some Michael Terry on the outside, Michael Terry in the slot. And with a Wingo out, it kind of puts my brain on the rest of the receiving core, given – back in February, Alex brought up Parker Livingston. Alex was the first one to bring up Parker Livingston and say he was going to be in the 3 wide sets. And now he's the only guy in the projected 3 wide sets that's going to be practicing every single day, establishing that connection with Arch Manning through spring practices, which I think is a massive feather in Parker Livingston's cap and his growth and maturation through this spring. Obviously there's big opportunities here for Jamie French, for Khalil Lockett to take advantage of playing on that outside role opposite of Parker Livingston. And not to mention the slot work for Dylan McCutcheon, and then Michael Terry just kind of playing everywhere, cross-training outside, cross-training on the inside, everywhere else on the offense that he can play. But I think, honestly, the biggest takeaway here is 100% Parker Livingston and his continued growth and maturation and connection with Arch Manning, because, like you said in February, he was going to be the third guy in that rotation, and now he's the only guy in that rotation that's healthy and on the field.
A lot of crawfishing on Parker Livingston from some of the Austin media.
Yeah, it's funny. You see it like all this week. It was like Parker Livingston's really taking it. It's like, hold up, dog.
You guys couldn't have seen it coming? It's like he's big, he's super big, and he's super fast, and he's got ridiculous hands. It's like, I mean, I don't know. It's like, I don't know why it was so surprising. We told you back in February. It's like, if the season were to start now, that got to be a starter. But yeah, he's been looking great. With that being said, one of the people I've talked with today, I feel like the kind of the secret's out on Parker Livingston, right? Like every write-up, has kind of, people are just talking about him a whole lot, and I can understand why. And I certainly appreciate it. I'm a giant Parker Livingstone fan, but the I am interested in hearing about some of these other wide receivers, though. You know what I mean? And so when I was talking with somebody today, I'm like, besides Livingstone, is like who's standing out right now? And so from what I've heard, I think that they were running a lot of
French fry.
they were running a lot of um, like third down and red zone, third down stuff today. And this isn't just from today or whatever, but I was like, who besides Parker has been looking good? And the two people that this person mentioned he mentioned, let me pull up because I've had the, don't want to pull out my texts, but I did copy the text and put them in my little write up earlier. Okay. So, it was one person texted today. They've been impressed with Aaron Butler, and they said he showed his speed today. He got loose on Gilbo for a big play. So a little bit of an Aaron Butler mention there, specifically his speed, and that he got loose for I guess some kind of big play today. And then the other one was Dalen McCutcheon, who's playing out of the slot, as Cody mentioned. There have been some rumblings and some reports about maybe Michael Terry getting over there. I don't know how much that changes now with it was Jamie French and Michael Terry playing behind Ryan Wingo. You would think that maybe over there at the X, they might kind of get Terry back involved over there and just kind of, let those get. I'll come back to that because that's actually an interesting discussion. But as far as McCutcheon, he described him as something that I hadn't thought about with him. He just said he's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, he's 5'11", 178. Said like he's just really he's been really good with his contested catches and his stuff over the middle. And it's like when you think about these Chris Jackson coached slot wide receivers, the Jordan Whittingtons, the DeAndre Moores, these guys are kind of warrior types, man. They're pretty fearless. And from what I'm getting is I'm getting the vibe that people think that Dalen McCutcheon's kind of like that. They said that there was a contested catch today where that dude just wanted it more. And so it feels like he's taking advantage of the extra reps with, as mentioned, DeAndre Moore missing some time. As we kind of discuss it, though, I'm moved a little bit to think about what's going to happen on the outside opposite Livingstone, because Butler plays behind Livingstone so far. That missing a guy like Wingo for the rest of spring can really can change things. You know what I'm saying? Like Wingo, DeAndre Moore, like we're gonna have to see stuff from Lockett, who's been playing at the Z. Does he play more at the X? Right? Is Jamie French the starter right now? I mean, these are all things that I'm gonna ask.
What was the order the other day when you were at practice? Right behind who's right behind Wingo? Was it French or was it Lockett?
Glad I took notes. Let me look and see. God, my notes are such a disgusting mess, Cody. All right, so it went like this. It went it was okay, is Wingo 1 now?
Yep.
Okay, Wingo 2, that's French. 11, which is Terry, and then 39, which is walk-on. And then
so Lockett was behind Livingstone then.
Yeah, with the Z, it was Livingstone, Butler, Lockett, walk-on.
Oh. Okay.
So, but that was just on day one. And
no, I know, but I'm just saying, like, you're hearing positive. I don't think they would have played Butler at X. Like, you're hearing positive stuff about Butler. I'm just trying to weave, right? I'm just trying to connect dots and weave. Like, I think they're probably going to move some of these guys around, but do you think that they're going to move Butler around? I don't think they're going to put Butler at X.
No, I would be more inclined to put Lockett over there, but if you put Lockett over there, then you got 3 freshmen.
So what?
Lockett, Terry, French, spring.
3 5-stars.
Yeah, it's like it's spring. Why not give it a try, right?
One of them's got to have their head above water at some point. They got to get their heads above water. Otherwise, it's if this is how I would look at it, and I'm not the coach. If I recruited 3 5 stars to come play wide receiver for me, and my expectation is for my all world quarterback to build a connection with these guys through the spring. If that connection cannot happen in 15 practices,
It's
we recruit the wrong dudes.
well, yeah, or at least start to. You should. I mean, you should at least get the. You know,
And that's when you'll know. I mean, and they'll figure it out too. Is like the transfer portal thing that's been brought up multiple times on not only on this channel but multiple of like, well, receiver might be a spot. It's like, well, if you got 3 freshmen duking it out and they can grow over the course of the next couple of weeks, you'll learn real quick if you need to go into the portal or not.
right. Well, it's been said the whole time that they're going to go right back to the. They're going to go right back to the portal during this spring period for a slot wide receiver, and I mean that makes sense, I guess. Although we heard that back before we knew that DeAndre Moore was going to miss all this time. You know, I think that I think Dalen McCutcheon is showing them that like they're impressed with him. So maybe I don't know, man. Is it really a dire need? I guess they're gonna do it, but I don't think that necessarily means that they need to go and get 2 now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It'll depend on how French and these guys look. French, Lockett, Terry. I think those are the dudes now that like kind of. I hate to say it, but we haven't heard that much about these guys except for the fact that maybe Terry's maybe they messed around with him a little bit in the slot. I forgot if that was Thursday or Saturday when we heard that, and then there was the stuff with French maybe looks a little more kind of mirrored exactly what I said. I asked somebody about how they looked, and I said I thought that French looked a little more polished when I saw him. Is that what you think? They're like, yeah. I mean, other than that, man, haven't really heard that much. We're gonna have to hear a bunch now because there's not that many of them out there running around.
Well, here's the thing. At least you're hearing something and you're seeing something, and they're not hiding. They're not not on the roster, or they're not something that just doesn't. You at least notice them, and you're hearing something about them. That's the positive for me. And
Yeah.
then you expect to. It's not like they're like, oh, the 5 stars not good. It's like I'm expecting to hear something, and I'm hearing something. First couple of days of practice. Again, these guys are supposed to be in high school right now. Like I'm just take it day by day. I love that. I don't love hearing obviously that DeAndre Moore's hurt. I don't love hearing that Ryan Wingo's hurt or banged up or straining. But I do sort of love that on March 31st that there's true freshmen being forced into spots where they have to take advantage and they have to grow and they have to learn faster, right? Especially in this day and age where this 2026 class of recruiting this next year, there's a ton of kids already reclassifying, and there's more like continuing to reclassify. And it seems like it's going to become a norm. And these guys are going to should have been these guys should be juniors right now, and they're in college playing football. Like these guys are going to be expected to play earlier and earlier and earlier. And Texas is in
Why? How is there so many
spot.
reclassifications? Like what is that process? No, I understand that they want to make money, of course. And some of these guys at big enough high schools are Diabell has a 6-figure NIL deal already.
Well, this is the other part of NIL, man. Like Missouri, the kids can get paid in high school, right? So they're not incentivized to reclassify.
Well, right, but I'm just saying, can anybody just reclassify, or do you have to finish school? Do you have to finish?
You have to. I don't know.
Were all the guys? So all these guys. So you're telling me all these? Like, is Ryan Williams like a genius?
Well,
some kind of Doogie Howser in here. I mean,
let's be honest with ourselves, right? I'm not going to say anything without saying anything, but like, I would venture to bet some of these guys get a little bit of help to get their way through and to get to the finish line in some situations, especially if it's like really stretching it. But they're like, especially when you reclassify and you try to leave early. Like it's hard enough, I think, to graduate early and be like, yeah, I'm done in December. I'm going to campus. Like I'm done with high school. Just think about
Right.
that. Now think about reclassifying and then also going in early. Like
Do
that
you,
is
well,
kind
it
of
feels like you
maniacal.
always hear about these guys reclassifying during the spring, and so it's like, or right
Zealous
before
Hicks.
spring starts, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, so are they just taking their whole? Have they been in AP courses their whole time, and then, or are they having to take a whole year of high school I don't really understand it. I know that, say, like, take my wife for example. She got to UT when she was like 16 years old. Like back then, I guess what she did was reclassify, but she only went to high school for 3 years, right? And then she graduated and just wanted to go to college. Um, the the but I mean, from what I've heard from her, that was hard. That was like it was a giant pain. She just really wanted to get to college and move down to Austin and stuff. She came from a small town. Like she really wanted to go. Um, but from what I wonder if the process is different now.
I I don't know. I don't want to. This is just me. I ideating. I don't know. Maybe they take. Maybe there's the what do they call it? The GED test. That's the like if you don't graduate high school and
Oh,
you.
you can just take that thing and get your
I don't
GED.
know. That's
Oh,
what it's kind of going through my brain. Like I wonder. I'm not sure if you can or not. I just like wonder though. Like if you're like Zealous Hicks, right? He reclassified at the last minute, committed, and then enrolled early, and you're like thinking to yourself, like, man, this guy is literally not only like a semester, but like a year and a half early. It's kind of maniacal. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I honestly, I'd like to dig a little bit further into it. Or I feel like our guy David Keith Williams, if he was in the chat, would probably have an idea. He knows a lot of stuff, so I feel like he might have
I,
a little
I
idea
think
about some
David Keith
compliance.
Williams is AI.
I think, well, he might be, but I also think he. Well, if he is, he'll respond to this, right? He might be our grok. We just say something and then a response appears in the chat. But I feel like that's David Keith Williams thinks like some compliance or something. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm gonna dig into that a little bit further.
Yeah, I dug into a hanger steak last night.
Did you really? Finally?
Yeah. Okay. And of course, it was from Texas Beef Traders. You can go there. You can get 10% off, or just go to texasbeeftraders.com. Use that promo code OBFWF10, or just call Darren and put together an order. You'll always get 10% off there, and he's going to treat you really well. I went into the shop yesterday just to kind of hang out, talk about a new product that we are going to have, and we'll have samples of that product next week just to test and make sure that they're good. We have a great supplier for it. We are almost ready to launch it. It's going to be the best thing that we've done. And I was just tilted because I have so many leaves to clean up around here and everything. I want to just stick around and, eat some burgers and have some beers and everything like that. But I did say I'm going to have that hanger steak tonight. And man, I got home. Do you know what the most interesting thing about a hanger steak is, Cody? Once you get it home, you kind of got to do a little bit of work on it yourself. It's because it's a big steak, but it's got this one little piece down the middle of like silver skin and sinew and stuff that's completely inedible. And you just kind of got to work the knife down and cut it. It takes a little bit of work. But what you do is you end up getting is like these two things that look like big, long fillets, right? Dude, you cook this thing up. It is the beefiest like steak that I've ever tasted. Like it tastes beefier than a Denver steak and much more just delicate. It comes from the inside. I think where it comes from, they call it the hanger steak because whenever you're gutting the cow or whatever, like the yeah, what's the lining called there, like on a deer, like the
Plate, flank,
no, it's like the what is it called? I can't believe it's like the thing that separates your guts from your vitals, your lungs and your heart and your rib cage and stuff. I forget what it's called, but it's like this piece of meat hangs off of that like an inside tender on a deer, and they call it a hanger steak because it just kind of hangs. You cut it off and it's got, but dude, it's unbelievable. And you only get these cuts of meat at places like Texas Beef Traders. Try going to HEB and getting a hanger steak. Try, or I'm just saying, try going there and getting beef that hasn't had vaccine shot into it. Now they're putting mRNA vaccines in them. They're shooting them up with steroids. They're shooting them up with antibiotics. If you eat too much beef and like with these antibiotics, you could come up with some sort of resistance at the worst time. Whenever you need to get rid of some infection, don't do it. Just go to Texas Beef Traders, right there off Loman's Crossing and right there in the heart of Lakeway. 3 awesome herds. Darren's an awesome dude. He could use all the business that we can send them. So Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com.
How long do you cook that thing for on the old Boomer box?
2 minutes flipped. 2 minutes flipped, like 4 times because it's like a round thing. So 2 minutes, flip it a quarter way, 2 minutes, flip it a quarter way, 2 minutes, flip it a quarter way, 2 minutes, and then so 8 minutes total, like 500 degrees.
And that's going to bring you out like a what, 135, 130?
No, 123, 124, and then I'll just let it sit. It'll sit till it gets up to 128, and it was delicious. I made it with I had some red wine from my wine club that I thought sucked, and so I just poured all that and I reduced it down, and I mixed that with some butter and just made it simple, and some and some roasted garlic. Mixed it all up in there, man. Dipped it in that, dude. Nothing like it. And of course, I had a very, very special seasoning for the steak.
I was just gonna say, hopefully you have a seasoning for that someday.
Yeah. All right. Back to more news from the thing. Thank you. That was what the Vivek B. The diaphragm was what I was trying to think of. Okay. That's the big flap of silver skin that separates those two areas of an animal. All right. Besides that news, the wide receiver news, the other news I got today was that Brandon Baker, stud sophomore Brandon Baker, running ahead of Andre Kojo at right tackle. And we figured this was going to happen. And it was like the writing's on the wall with the money commitment that's gone to Brandon Baker, the 5-star player that he is, the athletic profile that he presents, I said it, the recruiting pedigree, the financial commitment. You just look at him. I mean, you go out there and you look at him. You're like, you get stars in your eyes looking at the guy. And look, it's not like Kojo looked bad out there or anything like that. I was just surprised to see him up first in drills ahead of Brandon Baker. I had not heard that Brandon Baker had been ahead of him in the Thursday practice or the Saturday practice. Today was the first that I've heard that from anybody. So
a week in.
What?
A week in, right? A week ago was the first day.
6 days ago, because last week they practiced Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. This week, Monday, I guess Wednesday. I don't know, maybe Friday. Is there coaches clinic this week, or is that the next?
That's the 2 weeks from now.
Okay,
so like the 12th to the 14th.
Well, we know that'll be a Saturday practice. So maybe this week they'll go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then move it back to Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Have an availability tomorrow.
What?
I said you might get lucky and have an availability tomorrow and just find out at like 8 a.m.
They're not gonna. You think they'll practice two days in a row?
I don't know.
They normally give them. There's normally 1 day in between, but
you would know. I wouldn't know.
You never know, man. It's hard to know, and they don't need to communicate. There's no reason to communicate it to us if we're not going to be allowed to practice. So
hey guys, we're practicing today.
Yeah. Well, thanks for letting us know, Bianca. It's like what? But I don't know if you have any thoughts on the Baker.
My one question for you is, and I've expressed my interest in seeing the maturation of Andre Kojo. I've talked about, he went from 360 to 350, now down to 322 pounds. I haven't physically seen him with my eyes play football at the University of Texas. It's just period. I'm not there. I can't see it. But what I rely on is Alex's voice and others, right? I want mainly Alex, because Alex is the best offensive line evaluator that I know. And when I hear that Kojo's sitting there at right tackle and they haven't put Baker ahead of him, I have to only infer that Kyle Flood also agrees with his own sentiment, which is I'm going to put the guy in there if I think he's growing or I want to continue to see him. you have the portal aspect in there, like the thing that's there. It's like, well, if I don't give this guy an opportunity, he might bounce in a couple of weeks. I wonder, like, and I start to like, take a half step back and I go, all right, well, we expected Brandon Baker to kind of be the guy this year, right tackle. Obviously, Goosby's a left tackle. All the buzz coming into camp was about Nick Brooks. And now Kojo is kind of enters his name as like the fourth name at tackle that's getting anything right now. And he's not getting that much. I'm the one, I guess, giving him anything. My question to you, Alex, is, and I asked this to catch in, I think in his top 10 thoughts, was like, I I want to see and I want to hear that Kojo gets to a Nick Brooks level. That's what I said. I said, I want to see or I want to hear that Kojo has gotten to a Nick Brooks level
I
so that you
think
can have some, one sec, so you can have some sense of like, oh, this is some depth. This is a different point of view of the tackle position. Like we know we have Gooseby and okay, we have Baker. Okay. Oh, Nick Brooks is good. Okay. Okay. Kojo's good. Okay. So now we're starting to see like Flood's offensive line take shape and have depth at tackle where we were kind of worried about even the starting tackle at right tackle, right? And Catch comes back and he goes, well, what is the Nick Brooks level?
well, that's true.
I guess,
It's kind of like when you listen to Pate State. What Josh Pate, right?
yeah,
Whenever you listen to him, whenever it's like, um,
overrated.
yeah, all right. What is he rated?
Yeah.
You know, it's like he
That's
says
one of my favorite things. Yeah.
if you talk about how somebody's overrated, to say like, well, what is he rated? You know, it's like, I mean, that's a good question. Like, so what is Nick Brooks level?
I don't know. I haven't seen him. All I know is what I've heard. What I've heard is that he was one of the standouts in winter conditioning, and that he's in much better shape, and that you say his footwork looks much different. He looks like he's moving much different than he did on tape. And all I know is on tape of what I've seen him, and when I watch him on tape, you know as well as I, he just looked like a big mauling high schooler that was
Sluggish,
sloppy and sluggish.
sluggish. Yes,
And I was like, man, this guy's it's fun. It's fun that the guy looks like he's 400 pounds.
he
That's
looked
not
he looked
you
unkempt
can't
and sloppy, and just not his body wasn't
can't be
great.
taken serious.
Right.
And now it sounds like he is being taken serious because
Well,
he had a
I mean,
great
if you just look
condition.
at him, he's hard not to take seriously. You
So,
yeah.
like I said, like I don't know what that level is, but all I know is I don't think anybody's been talking about Andre Kojo near the light that they've talked about Nick Brooks in the last month in Andre Kojo's entire existence at Texas. And
Well,
he
I
was the guy
think
that
that,
came in at
but
360.
dude, but that, yeah, but that also has to do with like, you, sometimes on the message boards, orangebloods.com, of course, where you can find all of Cody and I's work as far as the Longhorns and other recruiting stuff, or just where we write about all this. Um, I, sometimes people, like even on my column today, the people were just like, "What? No, like nothing on." Or people will say like, "Well, how does nothing on Anthony Hill?" It's like, well, what do you want me to write about Anthony Hill? I've already written a bunch about him. He still is the same. What he looks like one of the top three players on the whole team. And like, but that's not exciting. I think people want to hear more about the players that like they don't really know much about yet and stuff like that. And maybe that's why guys like Nick Brooks are top. I mean, I don't necessarily. This is a bad way for me to. I'm not explaining this well. How can I explain this well in one cogent thought? I I probably commented and highlighted Nick Brooks maybe a little bit more than I highlighted Andre Kojo. Not as an apples to apples comparison to say Nick Brooks looks this much better than Andre Kojo, but just to say I had this expectation of Nick Brooks, and my expectation differed from what I saw from him pretty significantly. And he's a new guy on campus. People want to hear about how he looks. And so maybe I highlighted him in that way, but it wasn't to say that I think Kojo looks better than he's looked too. People have already heard a lot of talk about Kojo. But I don't necessarily think that Andre Kojo at this point is super far behind Nick Brooks. I think those guys are at pretty similar levels. Now, do you
Did you say Nick
maybe?
Brooks is ahead of him or behind him? Starting tomorrow. So you need one tackle to start for you tomorrow. Who are you starting?
I think that I need to see it more before I can give a good answer. I think what would happen with the tackles though is that it wouldn't be like last year where there's one of them that would go to either left or right. I think right tackle gets hurt, that's Kojo. Left tackle gets hurt, that's Brooks.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
100%. 100%. There's no
Um,
swing. There's no swing. It's just backups.
with somebody saying that they want our honest opinion. I haven't read the whole thing, but if somebody wants our honest opinion, we'll give it to them. Alex Cody, Naaman Roberts. I want your honest opinion. Flood is recruited as you know what off, but how do y'all feel about the O line's lack of run blocking, especially in the red zone and big games? Well, for one, I don't. Um, Kyle Flood didn't call some of those plays. And look, I know that, Sark
He's
said, we're here talking about what a great coach Sark is all the time and stuff like that. But like, you can't, I mean, there have been some plays where they've stood up for him and they've tried to have people in the media have stories about them and stuff like that. But I there is nothing about the way that Kyle Flood teaches the zone run game that is in any way lacking or any technique that he's taught that I've learned about at any of the coaching clinics that I've gone to, or any of the stuff that I've learned just going to practices as a kid that had coaches in my family and that had tons of cousins that were athletes, and the mom, and the aunts were coaches. And even if they coach softball, guess where, if you're a boy, where you get parked, while they're doing their stuff after school, we get parked up at the, Elgin High School football practice. That's how it is. So from my whole life to watching this stuff, I don't think there's any, what does Flood need to show anymore to anybody? He has 4 offensive linemen going into going to be drafted this year.
would have 5 if DJ Campbell would have declared. All 5 would have been drafted.
DJ would have been drafted. He'd be a day 3 pick, but he'd be drafted. Probably gets drafted before Hayden Connor.
Yep.
So I don't know what. No, I'm not gonna. Do you know what I'm more tempted to say? That if there's one nitpick that I have with Kyle Flood, he tends to recruit offensive linemen that I'm just like, I'm not sure I like that guy.
It's almost like he likes the guys that he can make, like he can get them to work. Like he doesn't just want to like push after all the 5 stars or all the high 4 stars. Like he gets it's almost like he gets a kick out of, not a kick, but he gets off having 3 stars come in, and
he's just like, yeah, you just wait and see. Like this kid Connor Stroh with two left feet and a big baby face and stuff. Like, let's see the monster I can turn him into.
Yeah.
Or the Coleman brothers, or just whatever. But I mean, it's turned out that, I mean, it's starting to show. Catch had a little bit about this in his column about how Trevor Goosby's looking like the first, it's maybe he's turning over a new leaf, because that was always Ketchum's big bugaboo with Flood, is that he would be able to get the elite talents in and recruit them into stud NFL players, but he'd never done it with a 3-star. But now he's going to do it with Goosby.
Yeah,
now he might
Goosby's going to be a first-round pick at this current projection.
But I think that. But I think if I was going to have an issue with Flood, it's just like, why did you bring in the Coleman twins? You know what I mean? Just stuff like that. And look, the Coleman twins could end up being good. They truly could. It's not like it's not like it's not like I'm batting 1,000 with my high school offensive line evaluations. It's the hardest one. Like, besides quarterback, it's the hardest one there is. It's the hardest one there is. I've had one of my mentors in scouting and evaluation, a guy that a lot of people here know, or certainly if they were older and following this stuff in the 90s and early 2000s. I don't want to say his name, but you know who he was. He was the dad of a guy I played high school football with. And he always told me that behind quarterback, offensive line is always hardest because you're having to project what a 16-year-old is going to look like in a 22-year-old's body. And it's just like, so besides that, like you can get everything else right. And then if you don't get the part about how they're going to grow or what they're going to grow into, it's like then the whole projection's wrong to begin with. It's like that's just not the case with a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like those guys could be good. I think if I don't have any issue with Flood the way that he teaches, I think if Texas were to lose Flood, it would be the biggest loss of anybody on the whole entire staff, and there's not going to be anything that changes my mind about that.
Can we talk about another player that is a big loss for Texas for whatever reason? He's just not going to end up being in this 2026 class that released some news today.
Can we talk about? Oh, sure.
Javian Osborne. So Xavier Crowell, the running back from Jackson, Alabama, was in Texas for a visit this weekend. KJ Edwards was at College Station this weekend. And Javian Osborne just released, the running back from Forney, who we've talked about a ton on this show, from Forney. He just released his final two today. It's Notre Dame and it's Michigan. And not only he released the final two, he said he's canceling all of his other officials, which, like you just mentioned, Georgia was one of them.
I'm going to check in on this, but I think Javian Osborne is going to Michigan.
Really? Even though Jordan Marshall's there?
I don't care. He's going to beat whoever out. He's sick, man. He's going to go to Michigan. He's going to be really good. Now, I don't know, man.
Canceled Bama and Georgia official visits.
Why does it isn't like his family. Like his family is all from that Dallas area. Why does he want to go to the Midwest so bad? What's so special about the Midwest, Cody, besides y'all's bitter winters?
Cold weather football, baby. In the snow.
I hate it when people say that that's football weather.
Oh, dude.
Like, dude, football.
Unless you played in it, it's unbearable. But it's one of the better. Like, it's everybody wants to play when it's 72 and sunny. You don't want to play when it's 110 degrees. I know damn well you don't want to do that down in Texas. You'll do it, but you don't want to.
I mean, of course, you're forced to do it. It's like it's
nobody in like Minnesota wants to play in 10-degree snow, but when you're doing it, it's one of the funnest feelings in the world because it's like a nostalgia of, like, when you're a kid and you're like at recess playing football, but you're like out there in pads and you got like the heat things here. And generally you don't wear long sleeves. You just, you got the heated, what the hell are those things called? Hand warmers, like the little pouches or whatever. And that's what's keeping you warm. And you make a hit on somebody and you can hear them be in pain. It's it's nostalgic more than anything. Whereas like you played on that Texas Heat, that's not nostalgic. That's just pain.
What was that game called? It was called
Ice Bowl.
Hey, who cares what that game was called? But I know the one that you're talking about. We certainly played it here too. But dude, I do think that playing in the cold is like football weather is, to me, cool, crisp
58.
autumn day. Maybe put on a sweater. Yeah, you know what I mean? Perfect conditions, not too windy, just right, man. Like just cold enough to where you might be able to smell in the air, the fireplace going on in one house around the neighborhood. Like that to me is football weather. This cold stuff is for the birds. And look, Javian Osborne apparently wants to play in it. So good for him.
You'll be a stud in that weather, dude.
I had thought that look, from what I'd heard from people kind of inside and around his camp, it was around this time where Texas was going to they were going to find out whether or not Texas was sort of still in this and what he was going to think of Chad Brown. Gosh, these coaches, man. Chad Scott. How that relationship was going to be. and what was going to happen there, and sort of if Texas might be able to get back in his good graces enough to. Um, there was an opportunity to maybe get in on that third visit that was penciled into UGA. There was. I don't feel like there is anymore if he's canceled UGA and Texas isn't back in it. This to me is an implicit sign that Texas won't be getting Javian Osborne, which is fine because if you listen to people around Javian Osborne, they're just like KJ Edwards is their guy. If KJ Edwards is Texas guy, then it's what. How do you feel about KJ Edwards versus Xavier Crowell?
I like Edwards, but what if Edwards ends up in A&M? And then Crowell ends up still in Alabama, where he's still favored, even though he's been visiting Texas. He clearly likes Chad Scott. He's been tweeting at him, but he's still a heavy lean towards Auburn/Alabama. It's like, what if he stays over there? KJ Edward goes to College Station, and Osborne's now in the Midwest, and you just get stuck. Like, I don't think that's going to happen, but
I mean, I think if it happens, Chad Scott's gonna have to take a trip to Specs. It's the only place that I'd go. You know, if I was worried, want to take an edge off, ask them like, you got a nice bourbon here around here, a nice tequila. They're gonna help you out at Specs, Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods. They've been doing it. Well, let's see. I think since 1962. You don't stick around that long by not having the best prices, the best people. We can't thank our friends at Specs enough for being such great sponsors.
At Specs, it doesn't cost a lot to turn a good time into a great time, especially if you like saving money. From connoisseur collectors to aficionados of ale, you'll find bubbly bliss at any budget with a Texas-sized selection of world-class wines, rare spirits, craft beers, and more. So when you're getting ready for a good time, Specs is ready to make it great. Because at Specs, the fun starts here.
Shop Specs, low priced, amazing. Here's to you, cheers to saving.
Yes, thanks so much to Specs for being such great partners here with us. Thanks to Poncho Outdoors as well. We have the Poncho Outdoors QR code right there. Make sure and check them out. Cody is wearing. Oh, is that not a hoodie?
No hoodie on this one. This is a hoodie list. It's just a long sleeve.
It's called the Crew, huh?
It's got the pocket right here. It says Poncho. You can barely read it, but it's embroidered in right there. It's a good change up, man. No hoodie. Don't need a hoodie all the time. Sometimes, not all the time, but
yeah,
this one's very comfortable. This is the first time I've worn this one.
Oh, okay. Well, great, man. They make that from recycled bottles that they take out of the ocean and stuff. It's just, I can't believe, how could it be so, how could it be like, it's like the fabric is the most comfortable fabric to have on your skin. They tell you they make it out of recycled bottles. You're like, what? I figured they make this out of some kind of animal.
They just tell you that to make you feel better.
What?
They just tell you that to make you feel better. It's made out of like Puma or something.
Well, the thing is, like, Poncho, the people at Poncho, they know that the people buying this are mainly people who are like, fishermen and, hunters. And like, dude, there's nothing a fisherman hates more than a bunch of Ozarka bottles in the Gulf of Mexico. Or in the Gulf, right? That's gonna be a hard one to get used to. But
I went to a comedian the other night who's from Texas, Steve Trevino, and he was like, and he said something about, I grew up Corpus Christi, right by the Gulf of America.
Yeah,
the crowd erupted.
Yeah, it's gonna take some getting used to. But I think with Poncho, they I think they do it to like help out the fish and stuff, man. So make sure and check out our great sponsors over there at Poncho Outdoors and use that QR code and get all set up for the spring. What else do we want to talk about? We want to talk about the commitment over the weekend from the I've already watched his tape, but the offense, was it Nick Robertson? Nick Robertson?
Yep.
So I watched him. So 2026 offensive line, and I'm going to pull up his profile right now so I can make sure I have the height and weight right, because I think he's 315.
Oh,
I thought he was 325. No, but
Rivals
Jason said it at the over the weekend. He said he was 335, but he wanted to get down to 325.
Oh, all right. Well, then his Rivals is wrong.
Yep. So if you look at his huddle, it's one of the more interesting huddles that you've seen because you watch it and you're like, the first play, you're like, well, that isn't even a good play from the offense. But then you watch him just in isolation. And basically what his team did here, as far as his huddle reel, is they just put together a reel, no matter what the offense did on the play, where he put his man in the dirt. And you have 3 minutes and 8 seconds of that on huddle. Definitely, he's somewhere between. Do you think he's 6'4"?
I don't know.
Jason said he told him he was 6'5". He doesn't look 6'5" to me whenever I watch this stuff on his.
He's definitely not 6'5". He looks closer to 6'2", 6'3" than
he looks closer to me to 6'3".
Yeah,
but he is a 4-star, a 5.8 4-star. Yeah, he's got you. It's not a murderer's row of offers, but these are good offers. He's got offers from like USC and Texas A&M and Penn State and LSU and those kinds, and then just a whole grip of them from the Arkansas and the Baylors and the the Missouris and stuff of the world, right? This was one that Kyle Flood wanted. My question to you is, do you see him as a he plays tackle in high school, but I mean, I see him as Rivals has him as an interior offensive lineman anyway. I was gonna say he's gonna need to play inside, but he's got that good motor, got a nasty ability to finish. Certainly a phone booth type player, as far as I'm concerned. What do you think of him?
I think he's a pretty nasty guard that I think that they're going to enjoy having. I mean, they got Max Wright. I think there's still obvious want for Felix Ojo and John Turntine. This is one of the interior guys. I know Drew Evers is another guy from Flower Mound. It's on the interior. You got the Katoa kid, who's another one of their targets on the interior. I think Nick Robertson's been one. I think if you'd asked Jason that, if you go back a little ways, he's one of the guys that he would probably told you, yeah, he's probably going to be in the class. I haven't watched his full tape, but what I have watched of him, or his full huddle, I should say, but what I have watched of him, he's sort of and this is not negative connotation, but like he's a bully of a run blocker. And, you can work with that. And, I think there's a comment earlier about, what would you say your honest truth is about, about Coach Flood, about the run game, about the red zone? Well, a player like this is sort of a player like DJ Campbell that I see in, like, not comparing the two, but that's the style that I think of, is like that downhill run blocking road grader. That's what I think Nick Robertson probably projects as a left guard next to Felix Ojo.
I think that, yeah. He reminds me of Cole Hudson.
There you go.
From Cole Hudson's high school tape, because Cole Hudson's high school
Bigger?
tape.
Cole Hudson, I feel like he was.
I think Cole Hudson was. I think he was more one of these 300, 305 guys, but I just remember that his junior year huddle was just a pancake factory, and it was a little bit different because it was all plays where they were running behind him. I was maybe a little bit more impressed with Cole Hudson's huddle, because I'm like, dude, this guy's just opening up. He's just opening up massive holes here. Whereas it's like this guy, it's like it could be a play to the opposite side and like the quarterback gets sacked or something. But Nick Robertson's over here. Homeboy's just on his side, just throwing a dude over the sidelines or whatnot. But similar in that both the guys just really have a real penchant just to put guys on the ground and will play through the whistle. And sometimes maybe too much so to where you could maybe see them getting flagged.
That's okay.
Yeah. I don't mind it. I don't mind it one bit. So as far as the lady, or do we still call them Lady Longhorns? I think they are, like the running Lady Longhorns, the women's team. Texas right now, it's one. So are we already at half? Getting close to half?
Minute to half.
Okay, 1:16 left in the second quarter. Texas up 23-14. Looks like I'm going to quit talking about it because TCU just drained a three the minute that the minute that I gave you the update. So 23-17, no more talking about it. Ooh, but I'll bet you what, one thing, if I were to pick my fighter in a street fight, I would take Vic Schaefer over this TCU coach.
I'm not even sure who the TCU coach is. I know TCU has the Van Lith girl that was at LSU. From their title run, was it last year or the year before? I feel like she's transferred a couple times now.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's her right there. Number 10. She's the one who just drained it.
She got pigtails or something.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, and she's actually isn't she a model or something too?
I don't know.
I think she makes a bunch of NIL money. That girl does.
Yeah, I know she's well known, and that's the only reason I mean, I'll be honest with you, that's the only reason I know her, because like I know, like I bet you I could name 5 college basketball women.
What you could name 5? I mean, I could probably name 5 from the Texas team.
Yeah, I could name 2.
Rory and Madison.
Yeah, and then I'd go Paige Buchers, Haley Van Lith, the 2 Cavender girls at Miami. That got me at 6.
Did break up with his Cavender girl?
I think so. That came out. I don't follow that stuff on the daily, so I knew they broke up at least. I don't know if they got back together.
Is Carson Beck throwing the football yet? Is DJ Lagway throwing the football yet? Any of these guys? What's going on in Florida with guys who can't
I should
throw?
add that to my I should add that to my behind enemy lines tonight. I should go dig into that, see if I can find an update on
See if
them.
those guys are even throwing, man. All right, you got anything else you want to get to before we get out of here and go watch some women's basketball?
No, I got some notes, but I'll keep them for tomorrow because I'm still working on something for it. So we'll keep that. I think we'll talk about potential transfer portal visitor this coming weekend. We got plenty of stuff to talk about for the rest of the week. So practice keeps hammering away. Hopefully these women get this big dub tonight. Final 4 bound. And hey, April 1st tomorrow.
April Fools. Now, you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find us on X at Alex Dunlap NFL, at Cody Carpentier, also at FWF_OB for the show. If you want to follow us there. You can find all our content over at Orange Bloods. Thanks so much to our sponsors, Poncho Outdoors, myperfectfranchise.net. Our guy Andy Ludicky over there. Call him up with any of your franchise questions that you have. He's going to get you set up in a great situation to either get you passive income or just whatever it is that you're doing career-wise. Make sure to call Andy Ludicky at myperfectfranchise.net. Texas Beef Traders, of course, and of course, Specs, Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods. Only 4 things that we're going to ask from you here. 1, please like the show. Please take 2 seconds to click like. 2, subscribe to the channel. It helps immensely. 3, if you like the show and you think a friend would like it, send them a text or shoot them an email with the link to this show and say, hey, these are my guys, Alex and Cody. I think you would like them. And 4, if it is your first time watching this, or maybe your friend did send you something or whatever, just come back again, right? Just come back. We're here every night, 6 to 7 p.m. It's easy, dude. We get in, we talk football, we get out. We're very, very respectful of your time in that way. And we don't want to, bug you with a bunch of filler. All right. Love you guys. God bless you. It's going to be a big, big, big week. All right. We'll talk to you soon. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.